Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. I'm one half of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, Machel St. Patrick Hewitt, and not with me is Santoki Nagalendran. He is not here. To my left or to my right, depending on what screen you're watching on, is Asher Roberts, the Cricket4London Development Officer for Kent Cricket. And this is a special episode, people, because as of this week, the West Indies have landed in England. The World Cup is over for the West Indies, but we only get a short break because within 1 week, the West Indies will be playing just round the corner from where I work in Beckenham. They are playing an ECB County 11, Select 11, but more importantly than that, it's local. It's in South East London. The West Indies have brought the sun, and my guest Asher Roberts has brought his singlet. The guns are out. But Asher, listen. On a serious note, we're here to talk about this tour game against the ECB Select 11 taking place at Beckenham. You have played a huge role in putting the kind of finer details of this tour game together to make it, I guess, what you'd call a Caribbean experience. So, I mean, introducing yourself and talking about the concept, where did it all come together for you as an idea?
I think from the very beginning, it was very much just supposed to be a cricket match here at Beckenham. I turned around and said, no, I think it needs to be a lot more. It needs to be engaging, it needs to be fun, as well as knowledgeable about the Caribbean. So I thought it was a good opportunity. The West Indies are here. Low ticket prices. It gives every man, every woman the opportunity to come and see high quality cricket in their back garden, basically.
And of course, within the context of South East London, it's very much historically an area that has a huge Caribbean diaspora. I myself live in New Cross, and in terms of like the flyers that have gone out about the game, you haven't apologised in kind of making it a South East London kind of occasion, and unapologetically I should say, a South East London occasion and carnival. And that's not to say that people from north, east, south and even out of London won't come to the game, but it does draw on the fact that South East London traditionally has a huge Caribbean community.
Yeah, 100%. I grew up in New Cross, Stepford area, and I currently now live in the Beckenham area as well. So for me, it was very much about engaging the South East London areas, getting the Londoners easy access to get to Beckenham, watch some high quality cricket, and just be part of the community.
And it's a 3-day game. Originally it was scheduled to be 4. It's now shortened to 3. And you've kind of taken an approach with the game of kind of almost separating each day into something different. So sometimes with tour games, I'm sure you've had experience of them before, like people taking an approach where the tour game sells itself because, the tour inside is coming, but you've gone about it slightly different and almost been like, right, day 1 is X, day 2 is this, day 3 we're doing this, and made each day in itself a bit of a different occasion to sample. So the game's the game, but you're also sampling a different aspect. So if you just kind of lay out how each day is entailed, so people understand that this is more than just come and watch the West Indies play some cricket. There's actually something to do irrespective of that.
So yeah, to be able to answer that question, we need to kind of go back a little bit into sort of what we do here at Kent Cricket, what we're looking to achieve, our aims and objectives in the areas. My job as Ken Cricket is to look after South East London, provide as much opportunity, cricket playing, coaching, development as much as possible in the areas. And we've basically advertised that out to schools, councils, communities, families, as wide as we can. So the way the days are broken down is day number one. It's very much whoever buys the ticket comes in and experiences the day as it is. There's still going to be Caribbean food. There's still going to be the atmosphere. There's going to be the music. But it's very much day one is day one. We've invited a few secondary schools to come down. The ones that have taken part of the Young Leaders course, where kids between the ages of 14 and 17 get a chance to become young coaches, officials, all the little different roles that make cricket. So they're going to be here on the day, just to get a feel of the atmosphere and get to see some good quality cricket. Day two is very much around our school's day out. So similar to how we have a school's day out in Canterbury, where we invite up to 1,500 kids, 60 odd schools come in. It's very much a day for the kids to enjoy, watch some cricket, take part in some activations, some activities, and really get a feel of cricket. So with that, we've taken a similar approach, but just put a little bit of a twist on it. So what we mean by that is we've got the West Indian cricket, but this time we've got West Indian themed food, we've got activities, we've got the different again, like I said, the atmosphere is very much West Indian. So we're giving the children that really don't know as much Caribbean culture, or the schools that don't really know as much Caribbean culture, about the Caribbean cultures, a chance to be engulfed in that atmosphere. And then day 3 is probably our most fun day. That is where we go full shebang, everything. We've got still bands, we've got dances, we've got the music, we've got a few other different little activities going on as well. Again, the food is definitely going to hit different. And across all 3 days, we have probably the most Caribbean thing ever, Dominoes. And not the pizza for anybody that's scratching their head. No, it's the game Dominoes. So hopefully we're going to be hearing a lot of slaps across the 3 days. And hopefully, just engage in the community as best as we can.
And in terms of how this podcast is one of the many ways of kind of letting people know about it. How have you what kind of methods have you used to try and just get the game out there? I mean, obviously our Caribbean Cricket Podcast handles, we've plugged it as many times as we can in terms of getting people out there. You and I were talking before we pressed record that the sales for the game have looked good. They're looking good. And we think there's going to be healthy attendance across all 3 days of this particular game. So what's been your kind of plan? How has it worked in terms of getting people to hear about this game more than they would normally do so for a tour game?
So for us, it's very much about talking to the communities, the Caribbean communities, the African communities, the cricket clubs, anybody that's associated with cricket. So we want to make sure that they are the first people to know. Because again, they're playing cricket, they're involved in cricket, the environment's very cricket related. So it makes sense to start there. Once we sort of discuss how we're going to plan, sort of how we're going to market this event, we've kind of taken it in stages. So stage 1 was just notifying the clubs. Stage 2 was getting a piece out on our Ken Cricket website. And then stage 3 was to print out a bunch of flyers, go to the councils, let them know about it, and hopefully word of mouth will then start to sort of trickle around, and people will then show interest. And again, word of mouth is probably one of the best marketing skills there is. Once 5 people know, and they tell another 5, they tell another 5, and then it just spreads. And I believe that's that snowball effect. That's what we're seeing happen now. I mean, the numbers are phenomenal at the moment. Even I wasn't expecting those types of numbers that we're getting. So you can definitely see there's a demand and an interest within cricket, especially like big names like the West Indies. We're just using that name as best as we can to ensure that as many people as possible gets the opportunity to come and be involved. So marketing definitely was a
very
big
plan
for us, or very big strategy that we need to have in place.
And you know what, Ash, I'm going to tell you a little anecdote, which is actually for your benefit as more so than even the listeners' benefit. So, for the listeners of this podcast, Asher and I have been kind of going back and forth about some of the organisation around this day, etc. I've given some ideas here and there. Now, Asher reached out to, so I can't give too much information away about my government situation. so Asher reached out to me in the context of the day job that I do, and said, "Are there any young people that I am responsible for who would fancy coming along to take part in the day?" And I'll be honest with you, Asher, like, I sent out like a communique to some of our like older students and said, listen, this game's going on at round the corner against the West Indies. It's a chance for some kind of sports leadership and helping out, voluntary. It's cricket. Now, when I mentioned the word cricket, I was like, these kids ain't gonna want to come to cricket. But knock me down, Asher. But do you know what? I've had more people than the numbers you told me I could give come forward and say, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. And what it told me, and what was pretty instructive for me, is we hear so much about cricket is dying and it's not interesting to the young people. And does it speak to, Asher, and obviously in your role and how you play such a role going around schools and young people, is it actually just exposure rather than people trying to say, oh, it's dying and young people don't care? Because what that experience showed me when people came forward and said, yeah, I'm down for that, let me come along, and that's really interesting, is their kind of understanding around it was, I want to see what that's all about. And if I hadn't mentioned it, they would never have said anything. But it was the fact that I'd even mentioned it. Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you get a feeling of that actually the more you expose people to it, the more they become aware, and it's not as simple as trying to fall for that line that it's not as popular as other sports and so on and so forth?
I think the key word in all of that is awareness. If nobody knows that this event or this party or whatever is going on, you can't then expect to have people turning up. Now, cricket is one of those sports where you either comes down through the generational line in your family, or you're exposed to it in some way, shape, or form. Like for me, my parents enjoyed watching cricket, playing cricket. So for them, it was very much cricket was always on. Trying to go into areas or talking to kids or people that don't ideally come from a cricket background is now a different sort of kettle of fish. Trying to persuade them to come and watch a game, to be involved in the atmosphere, is a lot harder than trying to convince somebody that's already in the sport or come from a cricket background. So one of the ways I like to encourage people to get into cricket is using the hundreds, actually. It's very easy and simple to follow. And with that storm atmosphere, when people see the atmosphere of the hundreds or T20 or anything like that, when kids see it, they see the big shots and the lights and the music and everything, they go, wow, okay, cricket. I never thought it'd be like this. And then when you then explore the different parts within cricket, that's when the interest starts to grow. That's definitely something that's happened in my history as well. I didn't realise how many different past experiences that can gain within one sport. I literally just thought it was playing, and that's it. So it's just exposing as much cricket opportunities to, especially the young people, as much as possible. Yeah. And I guess filling in for people who don't know your work, and here's a chance to plug yourself as well in general. What do you like? How do you work as a kind of development officer? Because again, and it's important, Asher, that you talk about it, because again, I'm just mindful. We never know who listens to these podcasts. We know a lot of people listen to them, but we never know who's actually listening. And I'm just mindful that we don't fall into this mindset that there isn't a desire for it. So again, I'll tell people that Asher came in to my place of work, I think it was about a year ago, did a session with some
Did a session with some year 10 girls. So for those who don't understand, that's girls who are like 15 years old. And these girls had never heard of, none of them had ever heard of cricket before, I don't think, really and truly. And the engagement session you did, Asher, with your colleague, I think it was Laura, the engagement session you did, I've never seen those particular young people have so much fun around something they knew nothing about, if you see what I mean. So just speak briefly on the kind of like some of the work that you do in going around different institutions and trying to engage the young people.
I would say my day-to-day is very much about engagement. It's letting people know where the cricket is, how to get involved in it, understanding it, especially in the South East London area, Lewisham and Greenwich. My club, Captain Cyprus Cricket Club, I have to give it a little bit of a history here now. I took over as head coach of Captain Cyprus back in 2021, and I stepped down as head coach at the start of this year, actually. Because of the progress, the development, we got more coaches, more kids. The foundation of the club grew so much from around 30 kids when I started to now there's about 250 plus 300 around that number. So trying to replicate that across South East London is very much my job, what I'm trying to do. And it all starts with small exposure to cricket, fun games, fun activities, understanding where your clubs are. But I think the biggest question is, why do we get people into cricket? And if you ask a lot of people that work in cricket, I don't think they truly understand why we're getting people into cricket and what the benefits of getting into cricket. Because a lot of people say, why not just get into football, tennis, rugby, whatever. What is so special about cricket that our kids need to be involved in cricket? And I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I basically said, well, your child is what, 1-2 years old. She asked me, what's the point of getting my son into cricket? I said, well, I'm not knocking on any other sport, but when it comes to cricket, hand-eye coordination is very much probably the main thing in cricket. You start developing skills, you start developing reactions, timing, you start developing all different types of attributes that just happen in your day-to-day. For example, when you're throwing and catching and hitting and whatever, all of those are transferable skills into other sports. So when you're playing with other sports like badminton and tennis, you're hitting a small object that's coming towards you. Cricket is the same thing. So if you're learning how to play cricket, no one's saying you have to become a professional. But if you learn those skills, the transferable skills, when you then play other sports, it becomes a lot easier. So for me, I try and use cricket as the foundation, the first sport that they get into, to help with all the other sports that they eventually will play. The kids I'm talking about anyway.
Most definitely.
Go on. Very much about engaging them and getting them to understand what the benefits of cricket.
So, I mean, with that said, obviously, as you kind of pointed out across the day, the second day of the 3-day match against the West Indies is very much a schools-orientated day. Day 3, very much a community-orientated day. And I think it goes without saying, Asher, that for those people listening to this, bring as many people as you can. Because I always say with events like this, and some people often think it's ridiculous to say so, but if across the 3 days on each day you get one person who goes away thinking, let me see what this cricket thing's all about, it's a success. It's a success because you've exposed somebody to something that they previously wouldn't have thought was even something for them, and all of a sudden now they're walking away from it thinking, oh, I kind of want to see more about that, and more than and that's why I think this 3-day match against the West Indies, as great as it's going to be to see the West Indies in the flesh and play the cricket, it's almost bigger than the game itself. It's about how can the event itself, and I call it an event, is more so for me about how can we bring cricket to South East London and beyond, rather than as simplistic as come and watch the West Indies. Because if it was as simplistic as come and watch the West Indies, well, the West Indies could have gone somewhere else and just played a tour match against a team for 4 days, and whoever turned up. So I think this is very much about cricket community engagement and bringing it all together under one umbrella.
You definitely hit the nail on the head there. I would say that's my sort of secret that you've got brought up. We've got so many different engaged and coming along to this event. We've got councils coming, we've got schools coming, we've got partners coming, and it's very much to let them know that the West Indies playing, that is just entertainment. But we're using this game as sort of a hook to get so many people in, so many eyes in, to let them know there's going to be more and more cricket opportunities within South East London. I could give you an example of what's happening now. I went to a youth centre in Thamesmead, Greenwich. We've been there for a couple of months now, and there's a young lad, well, there's a couple of young lads around 17, 18 years old who have now shown interest in becoming coaches. So for the last 4 weeks, letting them lead the session, I told them, hey, listen, I want you to plan a session for me, I want you to deliver it start to finish. I will obviously be here to help, but I want you to plan a session for me and deliver it to these kids.
Yeah.
Now that he's shown interest, and he comes from a trouble, those boys come from a trouble background as well. And obviously I'm not going to say too much about the trouble background, but they come from a trouble background, and to most people, they're probably just kids that are just not even going to deal with. Where me, I care for these boys, and I want them to do well, so I'm giving them the opportunity to work within cricket. So I'm using cricket as a field where they can work in. Now these boys are coming on a course. With me as the tutor, I'll be the coach tutor on that day as well. And at the end of July, they will completed and got their foundation level 1 in cricket coaching. With that now they have a foundation where they've learned how to organise, plan, deliver, structure, learn your safety regulations, whether you're coaching as well. Cricket has now done that for these boys. Well, by the end of July anyway. With that now they can go to any sport organisation and say, I've done this and this with cricket, and let me work wherever.
Yeah.
So I'm using cricket to help people's lives change, become more physically active. Yeah, every sport's aim is to do that. But also to work, to gain life skills, to be employed, all of those things that cricket can provide. And we're just using the West Indies match here to advertise what we're doing in South East London.
100%. And do you know what? That's a perfect line there that Asher has used, people. And I think it's almost the best line to kind of bring it to an end, in so much as, listen, people, it's as simple as this. If you didn't know, now you know. Based on the ticket sales, a lot of you already knew. But if you didn't know, and you're not one of the people going, you've got no excuse now. Listen, if you're based in London, even if you're not based in London, and you happen to be able to book some time off to come on Wednesday the 3rd, Thursday the 4th, Friday the 5th, ECB County Select 11. The team's already out, by the way, people. Some exciting county prospects there. There's a boy playing, Leicestershire boy called Josh Hole, who I saw last season. Very good bowler, that guy. So it's not some any side that they've picked. There are some good, talented youth that they've picked in that team that's playing the West Indies. The West Indies are the West Indies, of course. I don't need to tell you who's going to be there, but if I have to, Kumar will be there, obviously. Jason Holder will be there. Most of them are already there because most of them weren't in the World Cup. They're test players, so they will already be here. So you'll see everybody who you want to see. But most importantly of all, as Asher has said, I think I'm more so speaking to the people who maybe you're somebody who wants to bring your child along, or maybe you're a young person yourself. Maybe you're somebody who's wanted to make a headway in cricket or has an interest in coaching. Come along. And do you know what I think this day will be as well? Day of conversation, communication. I'll be there, Santoki will be there. There's plenty of people who have hit us up. My sister even said to me on Saturday, I didn't even know, my sister said to me on Saturday, Mash, I'm coming. I said, what? There's plenty of people who will be there, and I think I urge everybody to just use it as an opportunity to have conversations. Asher will be there, of course, all 3 days. If Asher has said something, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, if Asher has said something today and you're like, I need to talk to that guy because I've got a son or I've got a daughter or me myself, I've been thinking about XYZ, please look out for Asher on that day. He won't be hard to, he'll have the guns out, don't worry, he won't be hard to he won't be hard to spot. He won't be hard to spot, so do have a conversation with him, have a conversation with me, Santelki, anybody you want to, but ultimately, people, I'm going to give Asher the last word, but please come out next week. Come, and if you haven't got a chance, if you won't get the chance to see the West Indies at Lords, Trent Bridge, Edgbaston, this will be your chance to see them, and as Asher said, at a more affordable price for 3 days worth of cricket. In the description below, you'll see all the links to where you can get tickets from, the link to the flyer for the match, where you can read a descriptor of what's going on all 3 days, etc. Please click on all of those links, get your ticket, hope to see you there. Asher, last words to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for just rounding up. Basically, there's not much to say apart from, listen, if you want to see the West Indies up close, live in person, you know where to be. Tickets are available in the link below, but also walk-ins are available. You will not be allowed into the ground unless you have purchased a ticket, which you can do in person as well as online. And for those that are coming, can't wait to see you again. I'll be around. If you have any questions, please just follow. I won't say follow me, but ask me any questions. Feel free to drop me an email or give me a text message or whatever. And hopefully I can see as many of you as possible across the 3 days.
Awesome people. Bring your colours, bring your noise, bring your dominoes, people. bring your dominoes on the Friday, and we look forward to seeing all of you then. ECB 11 versus West Indies, Wednesday the 3rd of July to the 5th of July. Hope to see you all soon. This has been another edition of the Caribbean Cricket Podcast. Hope to see you again.
We rule the cricket world. Now the rule seems coming.
Welcome to the Caribbean Cricket Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things West Indies cricket. By the fans, for the fans.